everyone, we're working on fractions again today. So today you're going to be looking at comparing fractions when they're cut into different parts or divided up differently. So let's imagine this is our favorite chocolate bar. So there's the whole chocolate bar right there. Now, if we want to cut it up or divide it up, there's a few different ways we can do that. So if I cut the chocolate bar into two different pieces, now we know that if we cut it into two parts, those are called halves. So if I cut it into halves, then the parts look like this, and each part is this big. So if you cut your chocolate bar into halves, then you get one half that looks like that and the other half that looks like this. So the pieces are still pretty big. Now, if I want to cut this chocolate bar into three parts, if I'm going to divide it up into three parts, then each part would be this big. So I want you to watch the size of the parts as I keep on dividing up my chocolate bar. Now, if I were to divide it up into fourths mean I'm going to divide the whole thing into four parts. Then each part would look like this. So notice that the size of the chocolate bar stays the same the whole time, but as I divide it up into more and more parts, then each part gets smaller and smaller. So when I cut it into two parts, the parts were this size. And when I cut it into three parts, they turned into that size. And then four parts were that size. And I'm just going to show you, if I were to cut it into 8 parts, this is how big the parts would be. And if I cut it into 10, this is how big the parts would be. And 12 parts would make the piece of chocolate even smaller. So if I wanted to have the biggest piece of chocolate, if I can't have the whole thing, but I have to divide it up, I'd want to cut it into halves because then I still get a lot. So what I want you to see is that as our denominator gets bigger, so the denominator is the number on the bottom. So as that number gets bigger, okay, that number means that's the amount of parts to make the whole. As that number gets bigger, the parts get smaller and smaller. So I'm going to have you look at an example from your book now. So this is an example of how you're going to compare fractions. If these are maybe 2 pies, it says Bella ate half of the pie. So that means 2 parts for the whole thing, and she ate 1 of the parts. And we know we show how many we have on top. The numerator is showed by shading. So there is what 1 half looks like. So Bella ate this much. Now Jay ate 1/4. So I know that his pie is cut into 4 parts, and he ate 1 of those parts. So he ate this much. Now we have to look with our eyes and see, look at the shading. Who ate more pie? Was it Bella or was it Jay? If we look really carefully, we can see that Bella has more shading on her pie. So she ate more pie than Jay did. So making sure that you're looking at the amount that is shaded, looking at the size of the parts when you are comparing fractions to say which is more and which is less. Have fun today.